Hi and welcome to my channel. So unfortunately, the World Health Organization has today published an updated list of red list countries. What this means is that any country on this list, the UK, must immediately stop the recruitment of all health and social care professionals. What this means is any country on this list, the UK must stop recruiting, direct recruitment, obviously, of all health and social care personnel. So this involves nurses, carers, midwives, doctors, social workers, every single person that works in health and social care. So this is very sad news. And obviously, previously before now, there were 37 countries, but the World Health Organization has today added 8 new countries on this list. What this means is that out of these 55 countries, 37 of these countries are from Africa. So new, African countries have been added onto this list. It is so unfortunate because 2 days ago, was it 2 days ago? I think it's less than 24 hours ago, I shared a video on here because I had heard the news. I knew that an update was imminent, but I was wondering when is it going to be? And I thought, let me share the video just to warn you guys. But just today, less than 24 hours for me sharing that video, the World Health Organization has now confirmed that on their website. So if you're new to my channel, obviously you're welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, I appreciate your time. And in this video, I'm going to be explaining to you what are these countries, what does it mean for healthcare personnel in these countries wanting to move to the UK? What does it mean for people from these countries already in the UK? What does this mean for NHS organizations, healthcare organizations in the UK? And what does this mean for people that run recruitment agencies based, in these particular countries? What is the impact of this? As you can imagine, the impact is huge, it's enormous, and the changes are immediate, which means that there's no time to stop and think. Everything is starting now. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, you do want to hit subscribe right now. Turn on that notification button so you're the first to be notified when I drop a new video on here. But most importantly, if you want that I send you information directly to your inbox about the best career progression pathways in the UK, the latest changes in the UK, side hustle opportunities, work from home jobs, visa sponsorship opportunities, if you check the comment section below, you're going to see a link to my newsletter. It won't even take you 20 minutes, 20 seconds to join that newsletter. If you drop your name and email, then you're going to be part of that newsletter. Like I've said, it won't take you up to 20 seconds to join the newsletter. So Zimbabwe and Zambia, unfortunately, this is the biggest change because Zambia and Zimbabwe are now on the red list, officially on the red list. I feel so sad about this because, sometimes you go on to colleagues about, if you want to move to the UK, you need to do so. If you want to move to the UK, you need to do this test, you need to do this. And people are like, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it after tomorrow. But look now, this is a massive change because Zambia and Zimbabwe obviously are the two top countries from where the UK has recruited more nurses in the last 1 year. Zimbabwe was actually in the top 5. And when you look at recruitment of, carers, Zimbabwe has been the top country from where the UK has obviously recruited, carers. But the World Health Organization has said that, the impact that this has had on the healthcare system in Zimbabwe is too high to continue to leave Zimbabwe on the green list. And that is why it has now been moved to the red list. So what this means is that from today, all recruitment agencies that are recruiting staff between the UK and Zimbabwe must stop immediately. It also means that if you're still in Zimbabwe right now, you're no longer able to use a recruitment agency to move to the UK. If you're looking for a health and social care job, you would have to go through the process yourself. And by the way, in case you're new here, you're wondering who I am, my name is Melvis. I currently work for the NHS as an advanced nurse practitioner. I also have a private career coaching service where I support nurses, carers, student nurses, prospective student nurses, students with career progression in the UK. So my private coaching program is called Nursing Career Bootcamp. I support you getting those visa sponsorship jobs in the UK, career progression in the UK, work from home opportunities in the UK, starting your own side business so you can succeed, you can excel, you can thrive, and you can absolutely live your best life in the UK. So if you check the about section of this YouTube channel, you're going to see a link to Nursing Career Bootcamp. And look, that is where I offer one-to-one, personalized, individualized support. So if you want to work with me, privately, personally, or whatever way, then you need to be part of my private coaching program. So if you're keen, check the about section and make sure that you join, because like I said, you're going to get all the support that you need, whether it's doubts that you have, answers. There's quite a lot that the program does, so you can have a look and you'll be able to see that. But like I've said, you can join my newsletter. It's a free newsletter. Check the comment section below. You're going to see a link to join that newsletter, and I'll send you loads of updates about everything career progression in the UK, side hustles, and it'll come directly to your inbox, so you're not reliant on the YouTube algorithm on what's right for you, what's not, and all of that. So, like I've said, if you're a recruitment agency, you must stop recruiting immediately from these countries. NHS hospitals as well, that use recruitment agencies to recruit from these hospitals, again, they must stop immediately. My hospital, for example, is going to be hugely impacted by this, obviously negatively, because most of our nurses are recruited from Zimbabwe and it's all done through recruitment agencies. What this means is that all of that must end. So as you can imagine, the impact is massive, not only on the candidates but also on these businesses that operate within these two countries. Also, when you look at many of the hospitals in Zimbabwe, in Harare especially, they have complaints in the past year about their nurses leaving. And one of the things that they identified was the fact that most of the nurses leaving are very senior nurses. And some hospitals said that they have had to close. In fact, because they've got no staff, all the nurses have basically moved to the UK. There's been lots of news reports about that. And obviously, as you know, when something is so open in the media, then obviously there's going to be an impact. So it has negatively impacted the country. I know many nurses would argue that there are many unemployed nurses in these countries, Zambia and Zimbabwe, for example. But the reality is that if there are unemployed nurses, it's simply because of mismanagement, mainly from the authorities that be, because, they don't have enough nurses, obviously, in the structures for those that are actually employed, which means that if the country was organized and the system was organized, there shouldn't be any nurses that are unemployed, because the World Health Organization has identified that there are very few nurses in these countries per 1,000, people in the population, which means that if the UK keeps recruiting from these countries, it's kind of depleting that supply, and rightfully so, they should stop direct recruitment. And the whole importance of this is so that more nurses remain in these countries, because the truth is that when you use a recruitment agency, you're going to recruit more people. But if the nurses have to do everything themselves, and this is not only nurses, like I say, doctors, carers, every single person that works in health and social care is going to be impacted by this, because by taking away that choice, that option to use recruitment agencies, fewer people are going to move to the UK than they would if they were able to use recruitment agencies. That's the point. And that is why you see many colleagues who are in red list countries, they've already passed their IELTS, they've already passed their CBT, they've got everything ready, but it's very difficult for them to get a job in the UK, because many people don't know how to go about it. How do you apply? How do you present yourself? How do you present your application? What are they going to ask you at the interview? How do you prepare? So if you're overseas, it can be a huge challenge applying, through that process. And that's what I do, obviously, through my private coaching program, supporting you with that journey, supporting you with how do you apply? What are they looking for? How do you present yourself? How do you answer those questions? How do you make sure that you don't only get the best specialty for yourself, but you get the best job in the best location for your personal circumstances? Because look, everywhere in the UK is not the same. Every specialty is not the same. So what I support you with is make sure that, you move to the best place, so that you don't move to the UK and you're like, oh my God, unrealistic expectations. You don't know what to expect. You're like, I didn't think this how it was going to be. No, if you're part of my private coaching program, I make sure that you tick all the boxes, and before you ever step foot in the UK, you're already aware of the expectations. And so that is why the people that pass through this program, they are so successful and they settle in beautifully when they move to the UK, because they've had that coaching, they've already had that mentorship, rather than coming in blindly. So, like I say, if you're watching this and you know anybody that can benefit from this information, please do share with them. But most importantly, if you're from Zambia, Zimbabwe, obviously, like I said, they've added 8 new countries, but the main change, the biggest change, I'm going to share it with you so you can see, the new countries. But the biggest change when it comes to Africa is the fact that Zambia and Zimbabwe are now part of this list, and this is going to have a huge impact on nursing recruitment here in the UK, because like I say, Zimbabwe has been on the top 5 and the top 1 country, for example, when it comes to recruitment of carers. So it's such a shame. It's, so sad. It's such a disappointment. But obviously there's been a lot of speaking out against the UK's recruitment, when it comes to recruiting healthcare professionals from overseas. So again, it's not really come as a surprise to me. Looking at the events that have gone on in the last 1 year, even carers, there's been many cases of, ill treatment of carers from some of these countries. So again, when you publicize that obviously in the news, and look, bad news spreads faster than good news. If you share good news, people are not interested. But with bad news, when things go wrong, many people are going to share it. And unfortunately, I feel like that's what's going on in the last year, where there's been so many, BBC documentaries, for example, BBC programs about how carers are treated, or how healthcare professionals from some of these countries are treated. And I think all of those things have had a huge impact, because that's going to end all of that, obviously, or it's going to reduce it, or the hope is that it reduces all of that. So it's unfortunate. Obviously, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you do want to hit subscribe, because I make sure that I bring you the latest updates when it comes to nursing in the UK, when it comes to the best opportunities for you to grow, for you to progress, excel, and thrive here in this beautiful country. So again, if you haven't joined my newsletter, check the comment section below. Join that newsletter. It won't take you up to 20 seconds. All you need to do is drop your name and email, and bang on, when there's any update like this, obviously it's going to be, you're going to find out first and on time, to make sure that you never miss out on such vital information. And obviously, I do empathize, with colleagues over in Zambia and Zimbabwe, because I understand the impact that this has. I have quite a few nurses from these countries, obviously, in my private coaching program, who are already in the UK. So I feel that, it's quite fortunate that you're already here, but there are still thousands of colleagues back home who are planning to come to this country. Do not despair. Keep preparing for your IELTS, keep preparing for your OET, keep preparing for your CBT. It is not impossible to get jobs. As you know, Nigeria is currently on the red list, but it's also in the top 3 when it comes to recruitment, from overseas. It's only third after India and the Philippines, both of which are on the green list. So it doesn't mean that you're not able to apply for jobs in the UK. You can still apply for jobs in the UK, but you've got to do so yourself. So do not despair. Keep preparing for your exams, because when I shared the other video yesterday, a nurse from Zambia left, a comment on that YouTube video saying, Melvis, when I saw this video, I didn't want to watch it because he said bad news, because I'm preparing for my IELTS, and look, it's reassuring. You can still apply to move to the UK, but just that you cannot use a recruitment agency. So this is not a ban on recruitment from these countries, but it is simply a way of restricting more people moving to the UK easily. So you can still apply for jobs, but you need to do so directly, to the organizations that are obviously recruiting, without using a recruitment agency. And if you run a recruitment agency, you are no longer legally able or allowed to recruit healthcare personnel from these countries. So what happens if you're a nurse, for example, or a healthcare professional in any of these countries, and you've already had a job, for example, in the UK? Again, this is the question that I had many colleagues asking. So if you've already applied for a visa, obviously you've already applied. You can move to just wait for your visa and move to the UK. But if you haven't started the process, you will no longer be able to do so, which means that if you're still currently preparing for your IELTS, for example, then you cannot use a recruitment agency, because the law is already, it's starting basically right now, because once they add it to that list, it starts immediate. It's an immediate start. So again, you need to be aware of those differences. Do share this with your colleagues. It's unfortunate, it's sad, but those are the rules, and we need to abide by the rules. It's about ethical recruitment of healthcare personnel. It's about legal recruitment as well, so that no country is deprived of healthcare professionals. Because what happens then to the citizens of those countries? What happens to the patients in those countries? Yes, I do understand that the UK needs nurses, but what about the other countries? So again, if you look at it both ways, you can see that unfortunately, it kind of makes a little bit of sense. Because if you look at how many nurses are in the UK, the UK, for example, has over 700,000 people on the NMC register. That's quite a lot. If you look at other countries in Africa, for example, with 5 times the population of the UK, they only have about a very, very small percentage of the whole number of nurses that the UK has. So it is but fair that other countries are also safe. But obviously, if you do want to move to the UK, you can still do so. This is not a ban, like I said, because this is the thing that people are worrying about. It is not a ban. It is simply that you can no longer use a recruitment agency. You've got to do everything by yourself. If you've already applied for your visa, just keep cool, stay back, keep calm, get your visa and move to the UK. But if you have not, and you are currently still preparing for your exams, then you will not be able to use the recruitment agency. Because again, if you've got any questions, leave them in the comment section below. I'm going to get down there and answer those questions, because I know that there's going to be, different people with different questions. So again, it's unfortunate, but that's what happens. It is what it is, really. So again, my empathy really to colleagues from these countries, the 8 countries that have been added. And none of the countries have been moved actually from the red list to the green list, because I was thinking, are they going to move some countries? But no, they haven't. All the original countries are still there. All the 37, if anything, they've only just added more countries to that. So again, I'll see you in the next video. Share this with your colleagues, share this with your families, your loved ones, so that they can know about this and make sure that they're doing things legally as it should be. Keep watching the videos. Again, I'll see you in the next video.